highly recommend you to use that in whatever programs, whatever kind of STEM activities, or even non-STEM activities that you're doing. It's a great way to add that communication element. You're actually letting children test out each other's creation, whatever creation they made, right? Doesn't matter what subject you are teaching. Hey, this is Moni Singh, an engineer, a creator, a mother, and a lifelong learner. Many people know me as Miss STEM, the founder of the STEM for Kids movement. I created this channel to help you raise your children, your students, for success in this ever transforming world laced with increasing digital influence. You watch these videos because you know that there's something more inside your kids. They got the Elon Musk type of talent hidden inside them. If you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, and I share regularly. And as a subscriber, you have access to the practical tips, tools, and resources to raise resilient creators. Remember, the very first step is to be very clear, to get really clear about what is it that you're trying to accomplish. So if I go back to the to my whiteboarding here that we were looking at before, and the goal, right, the central part, the goal is absolutely critical, because unless we are clear about the what, yeah, I don't know what we are doing about it. We need to be clear about the what. And the way you get clear about the what is by, in the real world, asking the customers, getting feedback from the market, right? And all those things happen. And I was discussing the RFP process as well, which is also kinds of goes into in there. And of course, when you're trying to work with children and mimicking the process in an engineering design project, then encouraging the children to be thinking about and to be asking feedback. And you could do role plays and peer groupings. You could do focus groups, so on and so forth, just to bring in more of that engagement into this process for the kids. When you have kids make something, you actually have their peers kind of go around and looking at that product, playing with it, testing it out, and then giving feedback about usability, user friendliness. And again, those are some things that businesses do all the time, right? So, for example, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, any of these other like high tech gear, um, making sure that if there were no instructions, can the user just come in and figure out how to turn this thing on and how to start really at least being able to use the basic functionalities. And if it's something like that, that's highly user friendly, and that's amazing. If the company with its product can make that happen, that's awesome, right? So you can actually mimic some of that into your classroom or in with the groups of children that you're working with. um, Having the kids kind of give feedback and keep it constructive, right? Constructive feedback about their products, and adds a great communication dimension to it. Of course, they are thinking very critically as well about what they're witnessing, what they're seeing, what they're interacting with. And so it brings the critical thinking element there as well. And along with the fact that they're collaborating, right? They're trying to figure out and give constructive feedback to help improve another person's designs. So a great way to do that. Also, mimicking the focus groups in the more traditional setting, where you bring a group of people and have them use the product, and like a physical product like this. And so this is another one where you can actually do some role playing in the classroom, and say you have a product like this pen, and have children look at it and give you some feedback, yeah, right? What works, what doesn't work, what kind of mechanism was used here to have the lead pop in and out. Of course, this one is a spring mechanism, so you can actually have them give you some feedback. If you have some other products, like especially when you're in this maker spaces, right? And maybe children are learning to 3D print something. Again, a great way to bring this aspect of focus group and customer feedback, bring that in there. You can even one of the things we had done with one of our projects with engineering projects is um, incorporating the voice of the customer, right? So you could even role play and have either a real customer if you are working, if you have a local business who can provide that, or you could have one of your some other adult kind of pretend to be a customer and tell the students about here's what we need in the product that you're going to be creating, right? So you can bring in some of that storytelling and role playing component in there to make it even more interesting and engaging for the children. Um, so bring that direct voice of the customer for the children. So to give you a couple of examples, I mentioned we have been talking about these like the products, right? As I mentioned, the goal, when you think about the goal of what you're trying to accomplish, it could be a new product, a new creation altogether, something that never existed. And this product could be a physical product like this. A phone. It is cars. It's also the virtual products, right? The games, the applications. So there are all these kind of new concepts and products that come into play. There's also improvement to an existing product, right? So we were talking about, for example, this light, and maybe you get a feedback from a customer that um, or maybe from multiple customers, right? Because businesses may decide to not act upon each and every feedback, right? So of course, it's like if you think about it, it's like a funnel, right? They get a lot of feedback, but whether to act and which feature functionality that they want to act upon is certainly a business decision, right? It comes down to how much time it will take to make that change, how much cost, people, and so on and so forth. So anyhow, let's say there's a feedback about the loop being just too loose. So the hook. So when you actually loop it into the belt loop, it kind of hangs very weirdly, and so it's very hard to focus the light because it's a little loose fitting. And maybe that's the feedback that the company wants to work on as they're working on the next version of the product, and take that as a goal to improvise upon. So, so an improvement in a product is another example of what, right, of a goal. Now, many service industries are out there, and many times creating a new service. So, when I created STEM for Kids and providing classes, that's a service, right? So, even having a new concept about a new service is also a what. And then also improvising on that service is like another form of a what. Now, also beyond that, if you think about processes, right, how we do an activity, the steps involved, and many times even looking at revisiting those process steps to improve them, to make them better, to make them more efficient, and that also becomes the goal, the what. So for example, back when I was in supply chain, we would be looking at the manufacturing processes or the ordering processes, and making sure that things were efficient. So, to give an example, looking at the ordering process for this company, and many times the orders will come in paper, like a fax, right? So, the fax came and it's kind of sitting in a pile somewhere, and the customer may have ordered a product and they wanted the product to be delivered in let's say 15 days. And by the time the order processing, the people, the team that was processing that order, by the time they kind of reached into that whole stack of papers and inputted them into the system, the order system, where once it goes in there, that's when the actual manufacturing and the delivery and everything else begins. By the time it made into the system, it was dead on arrival, which means the order was supposed to be delivered in 15 days, and it's already 15 days past that time. And the order is now entered with a date, which is already like it has already passed, right? And so we were looking at a lot of these DOA, dead on arrival orders, and we said, okay, what's really happening? Why are we getting so many DOA orders? And of course, as you start drilling into the process itself, you then start seeing, okay, what could be improved in this order processing side so that we could minimize these DOA orders, because of course, it's not creating the right experience for the customers, and it impacts the overall customer satisfaction. So you could even have projects or engineering design projects like this one for the students to look at the efficiency of the process itself, and it becomes a really interesting one. It could be sometimes time studies in the industrial designing. There will be time and motion studies to see how much time is it really taking to develop a piece part when it's going for multiple stations in a factory, right? And it's real. I mean, these are some things which are very real, and it creates job opportunities for a lot of people who basically do these studies to figure out how to make the process even better and efficient than wherever it is. So I gave you examples of a lot of these what's, right? The goals, getting clarity on the requirements, the goal itself, right? The goal. What is the need? What needs to happen? And really getting very clear about that. Hey, now that you have watched this or heard what I just shared, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And also, depending on which platform you're on, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating or like and comment. And also share this resource with your friends and relatives so that they can also get their hands on all this valuable information that I'm sharing. Now, one more thing, I am giving away my 7 C's blueprint for raising successful children. So if you have not gotten a copy yet, go ahead and do that right away. You can go to www.raisingresilientcreators.com. The link is down in the description, so go ahead, click on it and get that resource. It's a very valuable resource that can help you with your priority of getting your children on the pathway towards success. So with that, again, subscribe to the channel and go ahead and get that resource right away.